Okay, so before this video starts, this is like a million stories in one, and it all leads into each other, so trust the process. If you're watching the video and you're like, yo, this isn't what the title says, like, did he upload the wrong video? No, I uploaded the right video. Just watch the whole thing. But anyway, guys, enjoy the video. So, throughout the years on this channel, I've told a lot of stories about people I've dated and how some of them are a bit strange, and, they made for some good story times. But one thing on this channel I haven't talked about before, besides the other day, I guess, was the revolving door of strange people my mom dated. Now, I'm not trying to say that my mom was dating like a million people, okay? That's not what I'm trying to say, all right? She didn't date that many people when I was growing up. There was only really a few, but for some reason, she just had the unluckiest time when it came to picking people, because the people that my mom dated were, like, for some reason, 10 times more interesting than the people I ever dated. Like, just wild, wild individuals. I could probably tell stories for days about them. The reason I haven't is just because they're not the most interesting. They're just, like, strange. But this one I'm about to tell today is very interesting and very, very insane, and it's just a whole chain of events leading up to the final thing that happened, and I thought you guys would enjoy hearing about it. Before I get into it, I just want to say, thank you for all the support on the last two, like, longer videos. Like, I really didn't think that you guys would like the longer videos that much. I knew that, like, half of you would. I know I said that already, but, like, I don't know, every time I post these videos, like, my expectations just get exceeded. Like, I'll be like, oh, like 3K likes on the video, I'll do another one tomorrow. And it just instantly gets it. It's crazy, like, almost instantly. So yeah, if you guys keep killing these videos with the support, I will happily keep making longer videos. It takes me a lot longer to make them, but it is 110% worth it for your guys' entertainment. Because at the end of the day, that's all I'm here for, man. I exist to entertain you, okay? I am nothing but a nerdy, overpaid servant. So yeah, keep on watching and I'll keep on making. Also, before I jump into it, I just want to say I make music as well. I think all of you know that, but for anyone that's new and for anyone that's maybe finding this video through just the algorithm or something, I make music too. I know you're probably thinking like, yo, corny YouTuber music, coworker music. Hell no. Shit's ass with a rose emoji or some shit. But nah, I promise, like, maybe you'll hate it. I don't know, but you guys should check it out if you haven't already. I'll leave it first link in the description. And yeah, okay, that's enough promoting. That's enough talking about random stuff. Let's get into the story. So, like I just said, my mom, dated some strange individuals. And, there's nothing wrong with being strange. Me, myself, I think I'm pretty strange. I think I'm pretty weird. But I don't know. I think there's such thing as being great weird and not so great weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But this guy that my mom dated, he was a strange one. And I guess to really give you guys the full grasp of, like, how interesting this guy was, I should probably go all the way back to the beginning of me meeting him. So for a good portion of, like, my life and childhood at my, mom's house, my mom wasn't dating anybody. She was single. My dad and her split up, like, right when I was born. People think that I don't have a dad for some reason. Maybe it's because I don't talk about him all the time like I do my mom, but that's literally just because he's the chillest individual on earth. And there's not a lot of stories about him because he's just that chill. Like, I've never really heard him swear much, never really heard him raise his voice. Like, he's too calm. Like, it's hard to have story times about somebody that, like, every time something happens, they're just like, well, that's just life. Oh, well. But yeah, for a good portion of my childhood, my mom was single, and I liked it. I can't lie. It was nice. Like, it was just me, my mom, my brothers in the house, and didn't have to worry about some, like, dickhead. There were a few dickheads. Like I said, I talked about one of them the other day, and I had this stepdad that was a total asshole. But for the most part, she was single. And I remember one day in freshman year, right towards the end of freshman year, this was literally like the last week, I came home one day from school, and I was in my room just playing some Call of Duty, chilling on my Xbox, living life. Life was good. And my mom comes in the room after getting home from work, and she got home early on this day. I remember she got home way earlier than she usually would. Usually she'd be home at like 9 p.m., but for some reason she was home at like 3 or 4. Don't know why. But she came in my room, and I was like, oh, you're home early? And she was like, yeah. So I want to talk to you about something. And I was like, okay. Now I thought I was in trouble. I thought, like, she was about to sit down and be like, hey, like, I just saw your grades and your report card. I'm grounding you for 3 months because you have shitty grades. But that wasn't the case. I guess she hadn't seen my report card yet. She sat down and she ends up telling me, like, hey, so, I don't want you to, like, be upset with me or anything, but I started seeing somebody recently. And that didn't upset me. I didn't want my mom to never find love, right? Like, I'm not some evil son. And I told her that. I was like, no, that's amazing. Like, that's great. Like, what's his name? Tell me about him. Like, how is he? And she was like, oh, like, I thought you'd be more upset about it because of my last, relationship. And her last relationship was that guy I talked about, like, 2 stories ago. the dickhead that I'd always argue with and was just a super bad person. Yeah, but no, I was still happy for her, and I thought this guy's gonna be a lot cooler, right? So she starts telling me about him, and she's like, yeah, like I met him through work, and he's like a few years younger than me, really, really like nice guy. And I was like, that's great, like that sounds awesome. And she was like, yeah, he actually has a son the same age as you. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Now, usually when my mom would say that or anyone would say that to me, like my dad or like my family, I wouldn't really get excited about it because 9 times out of 10, when I would meet somebody, they'd be like, oh, I have a son. You love them. They're the same age as you. They were never anything like me, and they were really hard to get along with for some reason. There were a couple people that were really cool, and I'm still friends with to this day. But 9 times out of 10, it ended up being like really awkward, and we both just did not relate to each other at all, and we both just kind of like sit there and kind of just coexist until our parents were done hanging out, and then we'd leave. So when she said that, you know, her new like boyfriend or whatever had a son, I wasn't too excited about it, especially because I knew in the near future I'd probably have to meet him, which is kind of antisocial and lame of me. I probably should have been a little more open-minded. But anyway, she's telling me about him, and he sounds cool, and she tells me like within the next couple weeks I'll probably meet him, and I was like, okay, sounds great. And after that, she left my room, and you know, it was nice. We had a nice talk about it. It was cool, right? Well, fast forward like 2 days later. Not 2 weeks, 2 days. Yeah, way faster than we talked about. My mom comes in my room, same thing. I'm playing Xbox, later afternoon. She comes in, and she was like, hey, so change of plans. My boyfriend's coming over tonight to have dinner. I want you to be there. Now, I had just gotten done talking to one of my friends on Xbox that lived like down the street, and I was about to go over there and hang out, or at least ask her if I could go over and hang out. So I really did not want to stay home and have dinner with her new boyfriend instead. But like, I knew if I said, I'm not going to be here, I'm going to go hang out with my friend, she would have just been like, no. So I just didn't argue. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll hang out and meet him. So like, I don't know, a couple hours later, this guy pulls up, and the way my bedroom was set up, I could like see his car pull in the driveway, and I watched him get out. And he looked like a pretty normal dude, like pretty standard normal guy, right? Like he gets out, he's wearing a nice outfit. He's got longer hair than I anticipated. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought this guy was going to be bald. I don't know why. I don't know why my brain does that. Sometimes when I hear about somebody, I default to what they look like. And for some reason, this guy was going to be bald. He pulled up not bald. He had longer hair than I did, and it was very full. He walks up my driveway, knocks on the door. My mom lets him in, calls my name to come meet him. I walk down the hallway. I walk up to him. I shake his hand. I say hello. And I immediately realize this guy is not what I expected. The first thing he says is he goes, hey, Austin. I've heard a lot about you. And I was like, cool, man. Hopefully good things. And he was like, oh yeah, all good. And I was like, cool. And he's like, I heard you're a video gamer. And I was like, yeah, I play video games. And he's like, do you like Gears of War? And I was like, yeah, I love Gears of War. I grew up on that. He's like, oh, I love that game so much. I don't know why this guy liked Gears of War. He was way older than the typical fan base. But you know what? I respected it. I thought that was cool. Thought that was sick. And yeah, you know, the guy, he seemed chill, right? So we sit down at dinner. We have dinner. And after dinner is when I realized, okay, the guy's a little bit strange. So as my mom's like cleaning up the plates and stuff, and I'm like done with my food, waiting for her to take my plate, I had some food left on it. Okay, we had chicken wings and pizza, like just some real, just regular ass dinner, right? And there was like 2 chicken wings on my plate still that I didn't eat. And he goes, you know, at my house, you'd have to finish all your food before you left the table. And I was like, oh, yeah, my mom used to do that, but my appetite just wouldn't allow it. I couldn't eat. Like, I just can't eat once I'm full. And he's like, I bet you could. Here, try. And he grabs a chicken wing. He starts trying to put it in my mouth. And I was like, dude, back your hand away from my mouth, please. He's like, come on, here comes the choo-choo train. And look, I'm not being dramatic here, okay? It's not like he like made a joke and he like, you know, hovered it by my face. He was trying to shove the chicken wing in my mouth, bro. Like it was really weird and it was uncomfortable. And I was like, dude, stop, please. And he stopped. He put it down after the second time of saying it. And he was like, oh, sorry about that. And I was like, you're good. Just don't try and shove food in my mouth, please. Even my mom turned around and like kind of gave him a look. It was just weird. It was strange. Like it was a little bit more than a joke. I didn't like it. Anyway, after that, you know, that night it wasn't that weird. Other than that one thing that happened, I thought, okay, whatever, right? Not the worst guy in the world. I'd much rather have this guy than the other asshole my mom was dating like a year or two ago. So yeah, nothing crazy, right? Well, little did I know, the strangeness was just getting started. So like 2 weeks later, right? Same shit. I'm in my room. It was a weekend. I was playing some Xbox with my friends on Xbox Live. I had plans to go out in like 2 hours, and my mom knew about them this time. Like I literally told her I was going to go out and sleep at my friend's house for the night. And my mom comes in the room and she's like, hey, would it be okay if I took you to your friend's house a little bit later than anticipated? I want you to meet my boyfriend's son. And I so badly wanted to just be like, no, I want to go to my friend's house. I want to hang out with my friends. I don't want to meet this guy again and his son. But I didn't do that. Because I'm not a dickhead son, okay? I'm going to be there for my mom and try and, be involved. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, how late are you thinking? And she was like, I don't know. Like, we'll take you over there at like 9 or 10. And I was like, all right, let me see if that's okay with my friend. So I asked my friend on Xbox, I was like, yo, can I come over at like 9 or 10 instead of when I was going to originally come over? He's like, yeah, that's fine. So I thought, okay, cool. It's all going to work out. I'll be able to see this guy, meet his kid, then go to my friend's house after. So, 30 minutes later, her boyfriend pulls up, and the same thing. I see him get out of the car, and I see his son get out of the car, and his son did not look at all like I anticipated. Yeah, he jumped out the car, started walking up my driveway, and he had one of the craziest fits on I've ever seen. This dude hops out the car. He's got these DC shoes on, these baggy ass trip gothic pants, this oversized t-shirt with My Little Pony on it. And then he has crazy Liberty spikes, dyed red. He looked like someone straight out of a Limp Bizkit concert or some old new metal band or something, right? And honestly, I thought he looked pretty cool. I was like, yo, he looked pretty sick, right? Bold choice to be wearing gothic pants with a My Little Pony shirt. He didn't give a fuck. And I thought the My Little Pony shirt was ironic because at that time, people were wearing merch from that shit all the time. And a lot of people were kind of memeing on the whole brony thing. Some people actually were bronies, but other people were just memeing on it or whatever. So I thought it was a meme. But anyway, he comes up the porch with my mom's boyfriend. They come into the house. I walk out there. I shake my mom's boyfriend's hand. I go to give a dap up to his son, and the son goes for a fist bump. So that was kind of awkward, kind of an awkward start to that interaction. But after that, I was like, hey man, my name's Austin. Nice to meet you. And this dude talked just like his dad. He was like, hey man, my name's Jeremy. And I was like, cool, dude. Cool. And he's like, give me the tour. I want to see where you live. And I was like, okay. So I took him down to the basement first where I had some of my stuff. And I was showing him around the basement. Then I went upstairs, showed him the living room and the laundry room or whatever. And then the kitchen. And the hallway, some of the bedrooms, and then finally my room where I had most of my stuff and my gaming setup and shit. And he walked in and he was like, this is a pretty cool room. This is better than my room. And I was like, oh, I'm sure your room's pretty cool. He's like, not really. It's old and there's stains all over the carpet. And I was like, why are there stains all over the carpet? He goes, I don't know. I just don't like cleaning. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't love cleaning either. Now look, guys, it's true. I don't like to clean. It's not fun. But also, if I spill Mountain Dew on my carpet, or if I'm eating a donut on the couch and cream falls out of it and lands on my couch, I'm going to clean it. Because if I don't, somebody's going to come over one day and see my couch and see a white dried stain on it and be like, oh, Luna likes to nut all over his couch and then not clean it. So yeah, naturally, I clean stuff if it's going to stain. I understand being disorganized. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, he just said that he would let his carpet stain essentially, which I thought was a little bit odd. But at the same time, I wasn't going to judge him because you know what I mean? Even back then, I knew if people had depression and mental illnesses and stuff, they might not be motivated to clean at all. So I didn't say anything about it. I didn't judge him. You know what I mean? I just kind of nodded my head, told him that I don't really like cleaning either. And after that, I sit down at my chair at my desk. And I was checking my email really quick because I had sent an email earlier about some YouTube thing, and I wanted to see if I got a reply from the sponsor. And he goes, what you doing? And I was like, oh, just checking my emails, seeing if I got an email from the sponsor. He's like, sponsor? And I was like, yeah, I do YouTube and stuff. I'm trying to see if this company will sponsor my channel. And he's like, what kind of videos do you make? And I was like, gaming commentary stuff. And he's like Markiplier and like PewDiePie? And I was like, kinda. Like I talk over gameplay. Sometimes I have face cam, but it's more like story time videos. He's like, oh, cool. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I want to be a YouTuber. And I was like, you should, man. It's a fun hobby. Like, you should definitely do it. And he's like, people wouldn't watch me. And I was like, oh, man, don't say that. Like, I'm sure they would. Like, come on. If people will watch me, they'll watch you. And then he's like, how many subscribers do you have? And I can't remember what I even told him at the time, because even back then, I didn't know off the top of my head, because my channel was growing pretty fast. But I'm pretty sure it was still under 100K, or like it was somewhere like close to it, or maybe just above it. I don't know. But I remember it was still a lot compared to what he probably expected. Like he definitely probably thought I'd say like 400 subs, right? Not thousands. So when I told him, he was like, holy shit, can we collab? And I was like, I don't really collaborate with people, but like maybe someday if you start making videos and they're good, I'd think about it. Yeah. And he was like, okay, I'll start. I was like, okay, cool. So after that, we're just kind of chilling, talking for like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And I had my TV on still. That had my Xbox on it. And my friends list was open. And on my friends list, somebody on my friends list had a My Little Pony gamer picture. And, you know, it kind of reminded me of his shirt. So I looked over at him and I was like, hey, dude, like the My Little Pony shirt. He's like, yeah, what about it? I was like, do you actually watch it? Like, do you enjoy it? Do you just wear it for the meme? Like, I'm curious. Some people wear that stuff for like the jokes. Other people actually really enjoy it. So like, I'm just wondering, you know, where you stand. And he goes, oh, I enjoy it quite a bit. And I was like, cool. What do you like about it? And I didn't expect the next answer at all. He goes, I think they're hot. Huh? What? Yeah, I was speechless, dude. So I thought he was joking. So I kind of like chuckled. And he goes, no, I'm serious. I think they're sexy. And I was like, okay, all right. Look, guys, I didn't care what this guy did with his free time. Didn't care what he was into. Didn't care if he watched My Little Pony or not. I didn't care. I was just trying to make conversation about his t-shirt. And he's a little bit too honest, okay? Way too honest. Like, if somebody wears a shirt of Mrs. Puff from SpongeBob, I'm gonna think, oh, they just like SpongeBob. I wouldn't expect that guy to be like, oh, this is Mrs. Puff. She's got that fat fucking pufferfish ass. Like, nah, what the fuck, dude? No one says some shit like that, just randomly. It's weird. And that's exactly what this dude did. Called them hot and sexy. And I was like, okay. So he could see the visible, like, discomfort on my face. And he goes, does that make you uncomfortable that I said that about them? And I was like, kinda, yeah. I just thought you'd be like, oh, I like the show. Honestly, I feel like you should have said that because I don't want to know about your interests when it comes to what turns you on. And he was like, yeah, people think I'm pretty weird because of it. And I was like, dude, I think they probably think you're weird because they're just trying to make small talk like I am. And then you're like, I think they're hot. You know, maybe you shouldn't just come out the gate and say that. And he was like, yeah, I guess you're right. And I was like, yeah, anyway, so moving on. What else do you like? And then he was like, probably some stuff that you would think is weird as well. And now I'm curious. I'm like, okay, like what could it be, right? Like, can't be that weird. And he goes, anime. And I was like, anime's not weird, dude. Like, I've watched it. My friends have watched it. That's not weird at all. He's like, yeah, but I think a lot of them are hot too. I was like, dude, why do you keep leading with this, bro? Why do you keep doing that, man? Just tell me you like anime. Tell me you like My Little Pony. I don't need to know that you're sexually attracted to them. I don't, okay? I don't. And he was like, well, you asked. I was like, I guess, but okay. So after a very awkward hangout sesh for the next like 30 minutes, my mom and her boyfriend were going to go somewhere, and it was time for this son to leave. And I'm not trying to sound mean, but I was very relieved. It was just so awkward. It's so hard trying to start a conversation with somebody and like maintain a conversation when they just randomly drop crazy conversation like bombs on you. So after they leave and her boyfriend was dropping off the son back home, my mom was taking me to my friend's house. And after she dropped me off, she's going to go back home, meet back up with her boyfriend, and they were going to go like have dinner or something. And while we were on the way to my friend's house, like while we were just cruising, my mom looks over at me and she could see that I was like kind of in a weird mood. And she was like, so what do you think? Like, what do you think of his son? You seem like you're thinking. And I was like, Mom, do you know the show My Little Pony? And she was like, yeah, I think. And I was like, I'll show you. And I showed her a photo of like all the characters. And she goes, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that looks familiar. I was like, Mom, your boyfriend's son, he jerks off to that. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, you're fucking kidding, right? And I was like, no, I'm not kidding. I wish I was. She goes, you're not kidding. I was like, no, I'm not kidding. And then right after I said that, she realized I wasn't kidding because she goes, oh, my, the shirt he had on, that was one of those characters. I was like, I know. And she goes, holy shit. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, okay. Other than that, was he okay? And I was like, I mean, it was just awkward. That's all. And she was like, yeah, okay. Maybe you guys just shouldn't hang out. You know, maybe you guys don't have as similar interests as I thought. I was like, yeah, I mean, we have a few, but that one's definitely not one of them. She was like, yeah, I would hope not. And I was like, yep, it's not. Trust me. So after that, I went to my friend's house and I walked in and I tapped my friend up and I was like, what's up, man? And he's like, good to see you. And I was like, yeah, you too. And he's like, how was hanging out with your mom's boyfriend's son? And I didn't want to like repeat the story. So I was just like, it was all right. Kind of awkward, but whatever. And after that, we just went about hanging out, right? So the rest of that day, and really the rest of the next couple of weeks, nothing too interesting happened, right? And one day, I'm sitting on my couch, on my just living room couch, scrolling on my phone, and I get a notification from Facebook. It was a friend request. I never use Facebook. I never really did. I had one for family and stuff, but like, I don't really like using it because it's full of shitty memes and like boomer stuff. But I get this friend request from this name that I knew. It was my mom's boyfriend's son. So I tap the notification, I look at his profile, and the profile was exactly what I expected. It was him and his profile pic. His header or like banner or whatever was My Little Pony. His employer was My Little Pony. Half of his statuses were about My Little Pony. His old profile pictures were My Little Pony. So I add him because I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have to, because if I don't accept it, he's going to come up to me in real life and be like, why didn't you add me? So I add him. And immediately he sends me a link to a YouTube video, like a minute later after I accept the friend request, called The Psychology Behind Bronies. And it's a fucking 1 hour commentary video about why being a brony isn't a bad thing and about how it's not wrong to feel attraction towards them. It was this wild commentary, right? That I didn't give a fuck about. I didn't give a fuck that he was a brony. I didn't give a fuck about this video. I don't give a fuck about My Little Pony. I didn't care. And I don't know why he was sending me like a deep dive into the psychology of it. I didn't give a shit. So very nicely I replied and I was like, look, man, I basically told him I don't give a fuck very nicely. I was like, look, I don't really care what you're into. Don't really care what you do in your free time. Like, it doesn't concern me. You don't have to send me a video like justifying what you're into. I really don't care. Just please stop bringing it up to me. That's all. And he responded with a thumbs up emoji. Now I tried to find that video because I thought it'd be funny to like include it in here or like link it in the description. And I couldn't find it. I went to our DMs on Facebook and I clicked the link, but it was privated. I tried to find a re-upload of it, but unfortunately there wasn't any, at least that I could find. But it was like a very long commentary and it was very like low budget looking. And I remember it had like no views. So anyway, after this, right, another few weeks go by with nothing happening, right? I didn't hear anything on Facebook from him. I didn't hear anything. Didn't see him. My mom continued to date, her boyfriend or whatever, and things were fine, right? And just like any other time, I'm in my room, laying down on my bed, I'm scrolling my phone, and I get a Facebook notification, a message, a YouTube link from none other than my mom's boyfriend's son. And I was like, here we go. I'm going to click this link, and I already fucking know what it's going to be. It's going to be a fucking My Little Pony video. I just know it. And I open the message, and the link like embeds, and I see the thumbnail and the title, and it's called Why I Love My Little Pony. And I was like, dude, this guy is just hyper fixated on this shit. And he's hyper fixated on telling me about it. I don't know why. And I clicked the video and I didn't expect the next part. It's fucking his video, dude. He took my advice. He became a fucking commentator. But instead of talking over gameplay, he's talking over clips from My Little Pony and talking about My Little Pony. And guess what? It had like fucking 800 views already and like 20 likes. And I was like, okay, well, at least my advice was good. Like, people are going to watch him, I guess. Anyway, I just didn't respond. And I decided, you know what? From here on out, I'm not responding to any of this guy's messages. He is creeping me out a little bit. So yeah, I didn't. And after this, I just kind of went about my life for the next like month with nothing too wild happening. And then something happened. So one night I'm in my room and my mom comes in and she goes, hey, just want to let you know, I broke up with my boyfriend. And I was like, what? What happened? And she's like, he's really just not who I thought he was. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, what happened? Like, what's going on? And she was like, he was kind of stalkerish. You know, if I added somebody on Facebook or if I was texting a friend from work, he'd like try and grab my phone and look at who it was. He was trying to read my messages over my shoulders and I'd tell him to stop doing that. Like, it was weird. It just seemed like he didn't trust me. It seemed like he had trust issues from a past relationship or something. So I broke it off with him. And I was like, oh, damn, okay. Was it just like one occurrence or was he doing this a lot? And she was like, pretty much our whole relationship. He just kept like not trusting me. And when I told him to stop, he would get like offended. I was like, okay. And she's like, also, I don't really have the feelings for him like I thought I would. I don't know. Like, we've been dating for a while and the more and more I get to know him, the less and less I feel. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. I'm sorry. And she's like, it's okay. Honestly, you're probably relieved. You don't have to deal with his son anymore. And I was like, kinda. And little did I know, I was going to have to deal with his son a lot more because literally 2 hours later, I get a message on Facebook that says, hey man, our parents broke up. And I was like, I heard. I'm sorry to hear that, dude. And he goes, can we still hang out? I had only hung out with him like fucking once, dude. And I feel like I gave off the vibe of like not being fun to hang out with because I was just really uncomfortable by the shit he was saying. But for some reason, he wanted to still hang out. And I didn't want to be mean to him and be like, nah, fuck that. So I just said, I don't know, man. Maybe at some point, not really sure how that would work with our parents being broken up and all. Like, they'd probably have to see each other if we did. So maybe we should give it some time first. And he's like, okay. And then like a day later, he messages me and he says, what did your mom do? And I was like, what? And he replies and goes, yeah, my dad said that your mom cheated on him. Like, why would she do that? And I was like, what the fuck is going on right now? So I walked into my mom's room and I was like, Mom, your ex is telling people that you cheated on him. Just letting you know. And she's like, what? And I showed her the message. And she's like, oh, hell no. And she pulls up on her phone and she calls her ex. And he answers. And she's like, why are you telling your son that I cheated on you? We both know that isn't true. And he goes, yeah, it isn't true, but I don't want him to think that I got dumped. So I made it sound like I broke up with you. Keep in mind, guys, this guy, middle-aged man, okay? Way too old to be acting like that. Like, how fucking old are you? How immature are you that you're afraid to look like you got dumped, so you make up a lie saying you got cheated on and then you broke up with them? That looks worse. I'd rather just say I got dumped than to be like I got cheated on. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now, but whatever, right? So my mom ends up like completely just roasting this dude. She's like, you're fucking insane. Like, why the fuck would you make up a lie to your kid? Like, clearly I made the right move dumping you. I didn't trust you. And now you've given me a real clear reason as to why I shouldn't trust you. You're a liar. You make shit up. And then she said some absolutely insane shit. She said, you should probably worry about your son and what he's looking up online instead of making up lies about me. Insane to say. Anyway, whatever, right? That's besides the point. She hangs up on him after this and she goes, I'm blocking him. I'm never talking to him again. Fuck that guy. And I was like, yeah, very valid point. Yeah, fuck him. And she starts apologizing, being like, I'm sorry that like, you know, I made you meet his son and he weirded you out. And, you know, like once again, just another guy that sucked. And I was like, it's fine. And his son, like, he didn't really creep me out or weird me out or anything. It's just, you know, he would talk about things I didn't want to hear about from his private life, you know? And he's like, yeah, well, I'm still sorry. I'm like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So later that night, okay, by the way, I didn't hear anything else from the son, right, after that. So later that night, I'm in bed, right? It's like 2 a.m. and I'm on my phone listening to music. And out of the corner of my eye, out my window, I see a car drive by. That's not out of the ordinary, okay? My neighborhood and like the way my window was facing the street, I would see cars drive by all the time at all hours of the night. It's not like I lived on a super busy street, so it'd be like, maybe 1 or 2 per hour, but still, not out of the ordinary. Well, then I see the same car drive by again, and this time it slows down, and it basically parks like right outside my house. They weren't in park, but they were literally moving at like 1 mile an hour. Now, my light was off in my room, so they couldn't see into my room. They didn't know I was looking at them, and I could see very clearly that this was probably my mom's ex's car. It was the same SUV that he drove. It had the same bumper sticker on it that I could see from far away. At least it looked like the same shape. And now I'm really weirded out. Like, I'm scared. So I jump up, I run into my mom's room, I wake her up, and I was like, Mom, your fucking ex-boyfriend's outside, like driving by really slow. And she's like, what? And she jumps out of bed, she runs into my room, she looks out the window, and his car is fucking gone. Of course, just my luck, right? So now I look like the boy that cried wolf. She's like, what are you talking about? Like, where is he? And I was like, I'm telling you, I saw him drive by. She was, okay, hold on, let me call him. I was like, don't call him, he's just gonna lie. And she was like, well, I don't know what else you want me to do. I was like, I don't know, maybe call the cops and say you have a stalker outside your house at 2 a.m. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't even know if it's actually him. It could have just been someone with the same car. And I was like, all right, whatever. I looked like he had the same bumper sticker, so that's all I'm going to say. And she goes, okay, well, let me call him. So she calls this asshole, right? And he answers like within 2 rings. And you can clearly hear that he's in the car and he has his phone on speaker, like he's driving. And my mom goes, hey, did you just drive by my house in the middle of the night? And he goes, no. And she goes, it sounds like you're driving. Are you driving? And he's like, yeah, I am, but I'm nowhere near your house. I'm all the way where I live. He lived like 15, 20 minutes away. And she's like, prove it. He goes, how? And she goes, I don't know, but prove it or else I'm going to call the cops. And he goes, okay, call him. And he hangs up. Now, my mom was bluffing because immediately she's like, yeah, I'm not calling the cops. And I was like, what? Why? You just said you were going to. She's like, what are they going to do, Austin? They'll come here. I'll say, hey, this guy drove by my house on a public street and that's it. They're not going to do anything. And I was like, Mom, if you explain that, like, you just broke up with him and you're worried, like, they'll probably look into it a little bit. Like, he's literally driving by in the middle of the night, scoping out your house. That's weird. Like, they'll probably go over there and at least talk to him. And she's like, Austin, I really don't think they're going to do anything. There's a chance it's not even him. Like, it could have just been the same car. Just keep an eye out. If you see anything else, let me know. I was like, keep an eye out? No, call the cops so I don't have to keep an eye out. And she just ignored me and she went back to bed. And I was like, okay. So now I'm on like fucking night watch, dude. I can't sleep because I'm afraid that the minute I close my eyes, this guy's going to break into my house and like harvest my organs or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm terrified. I think there's a stalker on the loose. And I'm just looking out my window every 5 minutes now. Not even, more like every 5 seconds. Well, my mom goes back to bed and goes to dream about whatever she was dreaming about again. And I'm just like, dude, this is horrible. Well, the rest of that night, nothing else happened. I pretty much pulled an all-nighter looking out my window, paranoid. And at like 6 a.m, 7 a.m, when the sun was up, I fell asleep because at that point I thought, okay, I'm in the clear, right? He's not going to come here in the morning. So yeah, I fall asleep. I wake up later that day at like 2 p.m. My sleep schedule was now cooked because I stayed up all night, on like night watch. Luckily it was summer now. So, I was able to just like stay up whenever I wanted and sleep whenever I wanted. And I get up out of bed and I take a shower. I order some pizza because I was hungry. And when the pizza gets to my door about 25 minutes later, I open the door and I see something. The pizza guy is standing there with my pizza and he has a note in his hand. And he hands it to me and he goes, hey, this was taped to your door. And I was like, what? And it's a note. And I shit you not, the note said, cheater. Just cheater. And I was like, what the hell? And the pizza guy goes, did you cheat on somebody? And I was like, no, I didn't. He goes, oh, that's weird then. He hands me the pizza. And I was like, thanks, dude. And I paid him, tipped him, whatever. He leaves. As he's walking down the sidewalk, he was like, good luck with that. And I was like, thank you. And he gets in his car and he leaves, right? And I take the note inside and immediately I go up to my mom and I was like, Mom, this was taped to our door. And she sees it and she's like, oh, hell no. And she calls up her ex and he goes straight to voicemail. By the way, she had to unblock him to call him. So like he wasn't even blocked anymore. So maybe he blocked her. I don't know. Like it went straight to voicemail though. Anyway, he doesn't answer. And then I just go in my room to eat my pizza, right? And I'm on Xbox playing some games, eating my pizza, doing my thing. And I get a notification on my phone from Facebook. And it's fucking Mr. My Little Pony. And it says, did you get my note? And I'm like, oh, hell no. So now I'm worrying about both of them. I don't know if it's like the son driving by in his dad's car in the middle of the night. I didn't know if that's who that was. I didn't know if they were working together. Like maybe the dad drove by last night in the middle of the night and like scoped out the house. And then this morning the son left the note. I didn't know, right? I didn't know. But I was like, yo, this is insane. So I went out to the living room and I showed my mom the message. I was like, Mom, look, like the son messaged this. And she was like, what the fuck? So she tried calling her ex again, doesn't answer, right? And the whole rest of that day, nothing. And I kept telling her, like, dude, call the fucking cops. Call the cops, like, please. And she didn't want to. She's like, oh, I don't want to. Like, once again, it's just a note. They're not going to do anything about it. I was like, oh my fuck. Okay, whatever. So later that night, same type of vibe, dude. I'm playing Xbox, looking out my window every 5 seconds, paranoid that somebody's going to pull up in my driveway and fucking, like, try and break into my house or something, right? Like some stalker shit. And guess what? Like, an hour or two into me just, like, constantly looking out the window, I see that fucking SUV coming down my street and I run into my mom's room immediately. And I was like, Mom, call the fucking cops. It's coming down the street. Like, it's his car. And honestly, I was just pre-firing that because the car wasn't even like in front of our house yet. It was just coming down the street, but I could recognize the front of it. So it could have been like the same SUV of somebody else, but I just didn't want to chance it. And I didn't want my mom to miss it. So she runs into my room. And at this point, the car is actually in front of our house now, going very slow again, like 1-2 miles an hour. And it gets like to the point where you can see the back of it and the bumper sticker. And it's clearly his car, right? Like exactly what I thought. And my mom sees it now. And she's like, oh, you were right. I'm sorry. And I was like, yeah, call the fucking cops. And that's what she does. She immediately jumps on the phone, starts calling the cops. And I'm worried, right? I'm thinking like this car is going to pull away before the cops can get here. But the car is doing something strange. It pulls over this time, like completely. Like it stops at the bottom of our driveway. And like just maybe a little bit ahead of it, but it pulls over and goes in a park. And my mom's on the phone with the cops at this point, telling them like, hey, there's a car parked outside my house. It's my ex. It's the second night in a row. Like I got a weird note earlier as well. Like my child's worried. I'm worried. Please get here quick. And they're asking her more questions and stuff. And she's answering them. And this car is just parked outside of our driveway, right? And I'm wondering what's going to happen. Because the first time they just drove by, right? So I really thought like they'd put the car back and drive and leave again. And I kind of wish they would have, but they were just sitting there parked. And I was like, what the hell are they doing? Like, what's the plan here, right? And then all of a sudden, the passenger side door swings open and the son jumps out, Jeremy. And then the other door swings open and the dad jumps out, my mom's ex. And they start walking up our driveway. And they couldn't see us, luckily. Like, we were in my room with the lights off. Like, there was no, like, screens on or anything. You couldn't really see us through the window. And they're walking up our driveway. Now, I had a pretty long driveway growing up. So they're coming up it, and as they're getting closer and closer, I could see them better and better. And I realized something. They are both holding knives. They both have weapons. And now I am fucking horrified, bro. Like actually terrified. I genuinely thought they were about to come into my house and like murder us. I'm not kidding. And I was like, Mom, they have knives. Mom, they have knives. Like they have weapons. And she's on the phone like, they have knives. Like they have weapons. And we actually hear the sirens getting closer. So my town's police station was no joke, like less than a mile away. So they were coming quick, but it wasn't quick enough because they were already halfway up our driveway and those cop cars were probably not close enough yet to stop them. We could hear it, but we didn't see anything yet. And we see these guys get closer and closer and closer. And I see the son go towards my mom's car. And then I see the dad start going towards it. And they proceed to start stabbing my mom's tires. Just popping them shits. And after stabbing all the tires multiple times, they just flicked their knives shut, turned around, and went back to their car. And I was so relieved. I was so happy they decided to shove their knives into my mom's tires instead of us, obviously. So they go back to their car, right? And they go to like put it in drive and start leaving. And it was like some shit out of a movie, like perfect timing. Like 4 fucking cop cars pulled out our neighborhood with their sirens on, like gunning it. And they pull right up to that fucking car and they all get out and surround it. And I was like, let's go. Like perfect timing. Maybe it would have been a little more perfect if they got them before they slashed the tires, but like still good timing, right? They got them right before they were about to leave. And they get them out of the car. They fucking cuffed them, like had them there on the ground. And we went outside because obviously like my mom had to talk to the police. And my mom turns around, she looks at me, she goes, go inside, like if they got to talk to you, they will, but don't come out here. I don't want you near them. And I was like, okay, like they're handcuffed, but okay. She's like, I don't care. Go inside. So I go back inside and I watched from my window as my mom went up to the police and she talked to them. And like, I opened my window a little bit. I cracked it so I could kind of like hear what they were talking about. And basically it was just my mom like retelling the story like over again to the police, and the cops were in fucking disbelief. I remember at one point I heard one of them go, wait, like really? Like twice in a row they did this? And then that same cop goes, why didn't you call us the first time he drove by at night? And I literally yelled at my window. I was like, that's what I said. And he looks over and he laughs. And my mom goes, close the window. And I was like, okay. And I closed it and I cracked it back open like a second later. And they're talking still. And meanwhile, the fucking two dudes are on the side of the road handcuffed. And yeah, it's crazy, man. Like they're all talking and I'm watching and I'm wondering what the outcome's going to be. Like I knew they were fucked. I knew they were going to get like in trouble bad. I just didn't know how bad or, how easy the cops were going to go on them, that kind of thing. So after my mom and these cops talk for like, I don't know, probably a good 30 minutes, right? And I see them get put in a cop car. My mom points to me at the window and tells me to come outside. So I did. And I walked out there. I walked up to one of the cops. And the one guy, the one that asked like why she didn't call the first time, he like walks up to me and he's like, hey man, like good eye. Like you were watching like pretty closely. Like I heard you spotted them like pretty quick. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, good eye, like good eye. You should think about joining us someday when you're older. Like we need people like you. And I was like, sure, maybe. That was obviously not going to happen, but I was like, sure. And he proceeded to ask me for like my side of the story, like what I saw and stuff. And it really wasn't much different from what my mom said, except I just saw it before her. Which is what I said. I was like, yeah, I was just hanging out. And that first night they came by in the middle of the night and they like took off. And then I saw that note the next day, today. And then tonight they came back and it was both of them and they had knives and they slashed the tires. And the cops were like, yeah, well, don't worry. Like they're getting in trouble tonight. And yeah, I talked to them for a little bit. And after about 30 more minutes or so, they left and those motherfuckers got arrested. And me and my mom went back inside. And the rest of that night, I just sat on my Xbox and played Xbox. I didn't do shit. I didn't want to think about what just happened. I was actually really relieved because now I could play my games and hang out with my friends on Xbox and not have to look out my window every 5 seconds that some stalker was going to be like in the street waiting for me. You know what I mean? Like, or waiting for me and my mom. Like, I was relieved that was kind of over with, So anyway, I ended up going on Facebook that night and just blocking the son. I just blocked him because I didn't want any more fucking My Little Pony videos or threats or just anything. I didn't want any point of contact with him whatsoever. So I just blocked him, right? I also found out that they both caught charges for what they did. I believe the father got a felony because he's an adult. I think the kid got charged too, but it was not a felony or anything because he was a kid. I don't remember what he got done. I just remember he had to like go to some juvenile thing. I remember that. My mom told me he had to like go to juvie. So, he got in trouble too. And it was pretty crazy. I remember just being like, yo, like, thank fuck I was awake and I was looking out that window. Because, I mean, even though that's probably all they would have done, I just think they wouldn't have been caught, Like, we don't have cameras at my house, or we didn't have cameras back then, and my neighbors didn't. And I remember, like, when shit would go down, if it wasn't, like, right then and there that you caught it, they just would get away with it. Like, there was times where, like, cars would get broken into on my street, like, at my neighbors' houses and shit, and, like, no one would get caught because there was no cameras. So it was good that I was awake and I caught it. I'll say that. Now, you're probably thinking that's the end of the story, right? Unfortunately, no, that's not the end of the story, at least not fully the end. So about 2 months later, right? At this point, I'm not thinking of it anymore, right? I'm just not. I'm not really like in the mood to think about it. It's, it's done, right? The situation's over. They haven't tried to stalk us anymore. It's done, right? I'm at the skate park, okay? Nice summer night. I'm with my friends, hanging out, skating. When all of a sudden, this fucking car pulls up, blasting some like just insane music, right? It's like loud as shit. And all 4 doors swing open and a bunch of dudes get out. And one of them looks really familiar. He's got Liberty spikes, dyed hair. He's wearing like the gothic trip pants. He's got a t-shirt on. It wasn't My Little Pony, but it was some other t-shirt, but it looked a lot like Jeremy. And I look over at my friend and I was like, yo, I think that's the kid that helped slash my mom's tires a couple months back. Because he knew about it, my friend. He's like, no fucking way. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, you want me to like go punch him? And I was like, no, don't do that. Don't. He's like, all right, but just say the word, bro, and I got you. I'm always down to fight. And I was like, nah, dude, you're good. And he wasn't kidding, bro. That motherfucker was like just always trying to fight somebody. But anyway, I didn't know for sure if it was him. He was kind of far away. I was on top of one of the ramps. I couldn't really see him that well. But then they entered the park and they started skating and they were getting closer. And I saw it was 110% Jeremy. It was him. It was the son. It was the one that helped slash my mom's tires. And he didn't know I was there yet. He was skating around like aimlessly and he didn't see me yet. And then finally he did. Like 5 minutes later, he sees me. We make eye contact. And it got so awkward so fast. I remember I was on top of one of the quarter pipes with my friends just talking, and he was on top of one of the other quarter pipes about to drop in, and he's just staring at me. Like he's got his board like ready to go, and he's just staring at me, giving me a death stare. And I'm looking back, and my friend looks at me and he's like, yo, is that motherfucker staring at you? And I was like, kinda, yeah. He's like, nah, fuck this. And my friend puts his board on the coping and he drops in and starts skating towards the other quarter pipe. And I go down it after him and I'm skating behind him. And I'm like, yo, come back. Don't go over there. Because I don't want my friend to approach him. I don't want a fight to break out. I don't want more drama to ensue. I don't want more bad shit to happen, right? But it was too late. My friend was too fast. He was way ahead of me. He dropped in before me. And he goes up the other quarter pipe, jumps off his board, pops it up, puts it in his hand like a baseball bat. And he goes, hey, what's your name? And Jeremy goes, Jeremy, why? And he goes, why are you staring at my buddy Austin over there? You got a fucking staring problem? And Jeremy's like, I wasn't. He definitely was. He was staring at me, like pretty bad. But he said he wasn't. And then my friend goes, well, it looks a lot like you were staring at him. I saw it with my own eyes. You were staring at him. Don't look at him. He doesn't like you. You don't like him. So stop fucking staring at him. Mind your own business. Skate here. Enjoy the park. But stop fucking staring at my friend. Because I don't like you at all. And I want to hit you. The only reason I'm not hitting you is my friend over there, the one you're staring at, is nice enough to tell me not to hit you. Isn't that crazy? He's such a nice guy. He doesn't like you at all, but he doesn't want me to hit you. So please, unless you want to get hit, stop staring at my buddy Austin. And like Jeremy just goes, okay, fine. And like he just skates away. And he comes down the ramp, my homie, and he's like, all right, that should solve it. I was like, thanks, dude. Like, what the fuck? Like, this dude just chewed him out, bro. Like, my friend cooked him. It was crazy. And like, it's weird because like for a second I felt bad for Jeremy. And I was like, wait, no, fuck him. Like, he slashed my mom's tires. Like, fuck that dude. But yeah, he didn't look at me the whole rest of that like skate park session. Like, he didn't look at me at all. The motherfucker was looking at the ground the rest of the time. So shout out to my friend for having my back, because that would have been really awkward if he wasn't there to like make him stop staring at me. But yeah, guys, all in all, a very crazy experience, very wild one. Like, me and my mom kind of had like two stalkers in a way. Pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, that's the end of the story. I went home after that. I told my mom about how I saw Jeremy, and she was like, oh my gosh, like, did he try anything? Did he like try and hurt you? I was like, no, he just stared at me, and then my friend pressed him and essentially told him to knock it the fuck off, and he did. And my mom was like, okay, good. Like, I'm glad nothing happened. And yeah, that was it. I never saw Jeremy again. Never saw the dad again, my mom's ex, and neither did she. I hope to never see them again, because fuck them. And yeah, that's it. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the story time. Another long story. Pretty insane stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see y'all later. Peace.
I got a switchblade, bitch, and you know that it kills. I remember everybody telling me how to feel. I got love scars, evil bitch broke my heart.